It's here. It's finally here. Halo Infinite. After 6 years of Spartan Cock and Sarah Balmer, it's finally here. Party up with your best friends. Equip your grappling hook. Drink your Halo monster. And capture that damn flag.
6 fucking years and finally the game is out, at least the multiplayer. And what I'm going to do is, this is going to be the start of a new series. It's going to be the Rally Review series, where I just kind of review games. That's how I want it to be. I'm going to do one for the multiplayer separate because the multiplayer is out right now. And then I'm going to make one for the campaign when it comes out. This one might wind up being a little bit shorter, but the campaign is definitely going to be a lot longer. But let's get right into it. The game is just fucking fun. It's just fun. Makes you feel like Master Chief.
Nah, Clambo. What does that mean? What does fun mean? You mean when I'm shooting up people in Call of Duty Vanguard?
What the?
No. I think over the past 3 or 4 years, the gaming community has truly forgotten what the word fun means, especially when it comes to shooter games. And honestly, I blame the Battle Royale genre.
Oh
No, hold your horses. Hold on.
house.
Battle Royales are fun. Like, I will not deny that. I fucking love Apex, and I liked PUBG when I played it a long time ago. Inherently, Battle Royales are a cool and fun concept to have in a game. Last one surviving wins the game. That's fucking cool when you think about it. But I think they've conditioned us as gamers to play in such a sweaty, competitive way because there's only one life in the whole game. And after you die, that's the end of the game. You can't come back. You have to start a new game. It's conditioned us to be hypersensitive to any sort of thing that happens in a game. You can't just chill. You're always on edge. Like, I used to play Fortnite. Like, I don't believe I used to play Fortnite. That's fucking crazy to me. Because if I were to go on now, like, there's no fucking way I'm killing one person. That game is such a sweat house when it comes to just how people play it. It's a joke for a reason. When you shoot one person, they build an entire empire. Like, I feel like there's no casual fun when it comes to the core gameplay anymore. I'm so behind the curve that there's no way I'm going to get back into it because people are so much better than me at it. But Halo, God, man, they knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. And the core idea behind the Battle Royale is such a good idea for a first-person shooter that it just blew up. And once it blew up, more streamers start to play it. Thus, more people want to play it. So it just keeps getting more oversaturated over time. And everyone wants to be so good at a game that you forget what having fun is. Like, I literally imagine a toy set just set up on your floor and you just playing with it. That's Halo to me. That's what Halo is. That's what this Halo feels like. Like, you got your robot soldiers, you got your car, you got each base set up, you got a flying vehicle. Like, it's just, they're just toys. And that's why Halo is fun. It's not like Call of Duty where you're kind of just stuck in this soldier spot. Like, you can't move around a whole lot. You can't jump much. You can't fly around the map like you can in Halo. Like, you hit someone with the fucking Warthog, they're gonna go flying. You go off a man cannon, you go fucking flying. You can't do that in Call of Duty. It's not as fun. Granted, you guys know I've played my fair share of Call of Duty. A lot of them are fun, but not this year, especially not the past couple years. Maybe Modern Warfare was fun, but just Halo's fun. And I think this coming out is a good reminder that games can be fun and not just sweaty. Halo, for the most part, over the years, has been fun. And that's due to a lot of stuff that this Halo encapsulates. The game has a good sandbox. Now, I used to not know what that meant, but putting in the perspective of seeing it as literally toys, it's literally a toy sandbox. You have a bunch of stuff that you can do different stuff with. You have a Warthog that you can drive around, go off jumps with, and you have a grappling hook that you can grapple onto the Warthog with and knock the guy out of with. That's something you think of when you're a kid. Another example is you have a rocket launcher and you have like a repulsor. Guy shoots a rocket at the guy with the repulsor, literally can just deflect it back at the guy and blow him up. That's some anime shit. The vehicles are great. I think they need to fine tune a couple of them, especially the Wasp. because it just seems so strong. And I think they need to add in a fucking falcon. I just straight up need they need to add a falcon. But the weapons are great, meaning there's a variety of ways you can use some of the weapons. My favorite being the Cinder Shot, which is like a grenade launcher sort of thing, but also like a wire guided sort of grenade sort of deal. And I also like the Heat Wave because both of those weapons have alternate fires, so you can use them in different situations. The Heat Wave, you can switch whether the fire's on the X or the Y axis, and you can make it bounce off either the wall or the floor, or depending on how many people are in the situation, you can switch it depending on what best fits it. I also like how most of the weapons have their own situation that you can use them in. You have the kinetic-based weapons like the AR, the sidekick, and the battle rifle that are used for just mainly killing, I guess. But then you have things like the disruptor, where it's like, it doesn't kill, like, per se immediately, but it does things like EMP vehicles, and it can do spread damage. It can chain damage to other Spartans and enemies. But then you have the obvious classics like the shotgun, or the energy sword, or the gravity hammer, which are really good at close range encounters. But then you have a weapon like the Ravager, which I really like the concept of causing AoE damage, but I think it just needs a little bit of a buff. And then you have the fucking anti-vehicle killer. Whenever you see a vehicle, if you can find one of those, that's going to be your answer right there, the skewer. And along with the weapon pickups, you have equipment pickups that synergize well with a lot of the weapons and a lot of the way you play the game. Like, for example, you have a grappling hook. You can do one of a few things. You can pair the grappling hook with an energy sword and grapple towards an enemy to get closer so you can use the energy sword. Or you can grapple up in the air and use a rocket launcher to shoot down at enemies below you. Like, you can, that's just a couple examples right off the top of my head. But overall, the weapons are great. I just think they need to add a handful more, but I don't doubt that they're going to do that later when they start rolling out some DLC. Another thing that I really like is the map design. A couple maps I really like in the map rotation as a whole. Fragmentation, the one I'm playing on right now, and a couple of the Slayer maps. There are a couple hit or miss though, but overall I think the map design is top tier. And while we're on the topic of design, the art team at 343 really kind of said, fuck it, let's make everything look good. And they did. It looks nice and it looks polished, and making the first Battle Pass Reach themed really just got me hooked. Also, the customization is way more in depth, somewhat. We'll talk about the bad part in the bad section, but we'll talk about the good part now. There's so much to customize, from your chest plate, your helmet, the helmet attachment, your robot arms, your robot legs, which is a new thing, your knee pads, your wrist guards, your stance. A lot of stuff that was in Halo 5 as well, they put into this game too. But no assassinations. A lot of the stuff to make this be the best customization in any Halo game is right there. But before we get into the bad things, we're going to talk about one more good thing. The fucking music. The post-rock, it's so good. It's so uplifting, and it's so different for Halo, but it makes it feel like Halo. I'll be sitting there after a match just listening to the music. It's so good. I'll just sit there and listen to it. I haven't been able to do that since like Reach, maybe even Halo 4. I like a lot of the Halo 4 music as well, but this is so good. And just in general, the game has an overall tone of something very great and hopeful, just like the old Halo games used to be. You know, I just thought of this. Oddly enough, it kind of makes me feel like I'm being drafted, but they want like the best of the best. And I guess that's kind of what it is. It's like she wants you to be a great Spartan so that she can defend off against the Banished and shit. I guess that's kind of how it is. And she I'm referring to is Laurette, I believe her name is. But she's cool. I like her a lot. And the overall tone just really kind of makes me want to be a Spartan. But you know what isn't hopeful and uplifting? $8 for the color blue.
Boom! Bitch got knocked over.
A lot of the things I have complaints about is having to do with a lack of content as a whole. Things like game modes like SWAT, King of the Hill, things like Infection. Halo thrives on game modes like Infection. You know, it sucks as a Halo fan to not have these things like when the game comes out, you know. And I'm almost positive we're going to get them later. And I do understand that as a game developer, it takes a lot of work and time. And they've put in a lot of fucking work in this game. And I 100% appreciate it. And I think they need to be appreciated more for their hard work. It's just unfortunate that these things are lacking in the official release of the multiplayer. I think what me and the rest of the community would like is, you know, something like just playlist filters that they can choose from, because maybe they're not feeling a certain game type one day or 1 hour or one game session. They feel like playing another. I know for me, I'm feeling Infection. Sometimes I ain't feeling Infection. I'd rather play something like SWAT or Slayer, you know, stuff like that. I'm more of an objective based guy, but like sometimes I want to play Slayer. Sometimes I just want to not worry about anything, you know, things like that. Something else people would like is something like an in-game lobby where you can see people's Spartans, kind of similar to how Reach had it and how Master Chief Collection sort of has it, but also maybe some sort of service record that showed all of your achievements and all your medals and all your kills that you get, just stuff that you've done in the history of your game that you can look back on and then be like, oh, that shit's cool, kind of like how Reach had it. Just stuff like that. Is unfortunate that's missing, but I understand that shit takes work, you know. I totally get that. It's just unfortunate that it's not there, you know. I have to bring that up in the review. With a game like Halo that's so focused on things like customization and showing off your Spartan, I would hope that maybe soon that they'd put in something that could show your Spartan easier. Or like Halo 4 did something really interesting where they had your like Spartan card, where it literally looked like a trading card with your Spartan on it with its stance and all that stuff. I thought that was really cool that Halo 4 did. And just a couple other things that I'm sure people want are things like another rank up system, where in Halo Reach there was like a military rank system, and also in Halo 3 just like that. And also things like map voting. I know that there has been a decline in this whole pregame lobby map voting sort of thing in the past couple years, even with Call of Duty and stuff like that. I just think voting for a map is something that people, at least for myself, I really, really liked. But conversely, that does mean that a lot of maps won't get played. And even for the playlists, if they were to put that in, I know that a lot of people won't be playing a lot of playlists. As an example, in Call of Duty, the longest lasting game mode in a Call of Duty game is Team Deathmatch. So the longest lasting mode in Halo would probably be Slayer, because it's the top game mode. It's the easiest to understand game mode. Just kill. That's it. Get the most kills. And one other thing when it comes to the lack of content, I think there's not a lot of maps. And I think an excuse for that can be, you know, it's a free to play game. So they want to wait to put out more maps later. Maybe it's DLC involved. I'm not sure. But I just think there's a bit of a lack of maps at launch. And I know, like I said, things take time and lots of hard work has to go into this. So I can understand it being a lot of maps missing, or not missing, but not as many maps in there as like a normal Halo, not free to play. Also, people got bills to pay, so I can't blame them too hard for not having a big amount of maps. The game is free to play after all, so their efforts have to be put into other stuff that can be monetized. However, that leads me into the next bad thing, the bad part of the customization. Most people agree that the monetization of armor skins and armor colors is way too aggressive. These aren't microtransactions anymore. They're macro transactions. $20 for a set of armor and some colors and a stance, just to me is way too expensive. And this isn't the only game that does this. Apex does this too. But I understand that people have to, you know, make their money, but I just think there's a much better way to do it without aggressively monetizing your game like this. The armor core system to me is not a really good idea. Having to pay for a color for each of your themed skins, just I feel like is so money hungry, and it's not player friendly. With a game that has such an emphasis on your Spartan's customization and has always had that emphasis on customization, monetizing that system when it's such a big part of the game, of the franchise, just seems predatory. And I don't mean monetizing it as a whole. I just mean the prices that they're at. They're a little too high. They're kind of way too high. $8 for the color blue and something else is way too high. If you don't understand what I mean, in Halo Infinite, there are armor cores, which are basically armor themes. You have the theme of a game like Halo Reach, and then you have a new theme that just came out, which is more of a samurai theme. And then you have the new armor that's from Halo Infinite. That's like the Mark 7 is what it's called. You have that armor theme, which is called armor cores. Each one of them has their own set of armor and their own set of colors. I don't know why you have to pay for the color red or the color blue for each individual armor set, other than trying to monetize a basic color that's always been in the Halo games. On paper, the armor core system seems like an okay idea. However, I myself and pretty much everybody else who plays Halo Infinite just wants a system where they can customize all their armor and mix and match all their armor together just as a whole, not having to split it up between 3 different armor sets or 4 different armor cores. And I'm not trying to come from a place of like saying something is too expensive or too cheap, you know. I don't know if I can totally speak on that regard for a lot of things, but for something like this, $20, a third of the price of the full campaign of the game, just seems like it's way too much for just an in-game cosmetic that doesn't change the gameplay at all. And this is not an invite to add pay-to-win stuff. This is not an invite to do that. Just like turn down the prices a little bit, just a little bit, because I'd be more inclined to spend money on something that's a little cheaper. Obviously, that's just duh, of course. But asking for so much just makes me want to not buy anything at all. Just nothing at all. If you lower the prices, I'd be more willing if it was more fair. You know, the whole thing people are complaining is just because it doesn't seem like a fair price. And if I'm totally honest, spending money on like a basic ass color like red or blue, maybe with a little bit of a change up, maybe add some camo to it, shouldn't cost more than like $1 or $2. Maybe if there was a really cool armor theme or armor set where it was like, oh, this, all the colors are different and it like changes color and then it reacts to your shooting or whatever, kind of like Apex. Maybe I could justify spending $10, $15 if they added a few more things with it. But at the prices they are now, it seems like it's way too much. Even $15 is pushing it to me. Even $10 like is probably the max I would pay for something like that. But like the customization is there. Like to be able to this is the most customizable a Halo game has been. It's there. It's right there. It's just behind this very aggressive paywall. Another issue the game has is a lack of progression with positive reinforcement, meaning there's no XP gains or bonus for doing well in a match, not medal based like I know what a lot of people want. It's not based off of your medals like it is in something like the Master Chief Collection. I just would like some incentive for capture the flag that reinforces people's actions by going after the flag. And when people go after the flag and try to capture it, it fosters this healthy gaming environment where people don't get pissed that people aren't capturing the flag. It makes it so that everyone wants to play the game and do well, and they're not just going to go running off the map every time they fucking spawn in. And I know a lot of the stuff I've said in this video has been covered in lengths by a lot of other creators and a lot of other people on things like Reddit, the Halo subreddit. But there's a point where it goes too far, and that's when you start giving death threats, and that's when you start insulting the studio. That's not good. You know, for an example, the fucking Halo subreddit was on lockdown because they were like, no, we don't want to get harassed anymore. That's not okay. Like, you should not be harassing them to that point. It's a fucking video game. Relax. It's okay to criticize. Just don't go too far with it like that. I love Halo just as much as any other Halo fan. If not more, if not less. But I'm not going to send in my any fucking death threats. Like, that's crazy. And I'm not going to insult any of the developers behind the studio. It's just immature. It's just crazy. Now, I get people are upset, and they have a right to be upset that some of their favorite things just aren't there from past Halo games. It's okay to get upset like that. I am. I'm upset that things aren't there. But it's not okay to send out death threats, and not okay to harass the studio that are making the game that you love. It's not okay to do that, but it is okay to criticize. Just know that line, keep it civil. They have been working their ass off for the past 6 years, creating this universe, this game, which is extending this universe even further. And I'm certain, I've heard so many things about the campaign. I've heard it's so great. I'm sure a lot of their time went into that too. They worked hella hard on this fucking game, and we should appreciate that it's here now. It'll get better over time. I'm certain of that. Just like with the Master Chief Collection, just like with Halo 5. A year, 6 months after the game's launch, it was so much better than it was when it launched. And I know people are upset that it isn't like that now, but it'll get there. It's just a fucking video game. Just wait for it. It'll be okay. But, just give your criticisms to them. Keep it civil. And if we all do our part, things will get better. Just don't cross that line. Because I'm certain 95 to 99% of the people who play Halo are not game developers. We don't fucking get what goes on behind the scenes. We don't get it at all. Like, we can criticize, and we have a right to give our own opinion as gamers, but we cannot assume what they've been doing over the past 6 years. We can't assume what they've been doing behind the scene. Pipe down, and give your gamer opinion, just like I'm doing right now. Keep it civil, and things will be all right. And I'm only really talking to the people who are sending death threats and doxing the employees who work at 343. That's who I'm talking to. The rest of you, keep doing what you're doing. I'm just talking to the people who take it way too far. 343 has been given the mantle of responsibility to keep this game series alive, and they sure as hell fucking have. A mammoth game franchise like Halo, they've done a great job over the past years. Maybe they've done things that people haven't agreed with, but they've made solid games. And it's no different with this one. This game is fucking great. This game is great. There aren't many game studios out there that listen to their community as much as 343 does. Maybe they could listen a little more. There's always some criticism there, but I feel like we take them for granted sometimes. A lot of other game companies don't talk to their communities for shit. 343, they kill it with community feedback and all that stuff. That's how we got Halo Infinite, just like the way it is. At the core of the game, it's wonderful. It's the most fun I've had in a Halo in a long time. And I had a lot of fun with Halo 5. I wouldn't say it's the most fun. Most fun's definitely Reach. But this game is fucking solid. It's there. And they've done a great job encapsulating what makes Halo Halo. It's fun. You wanna make change? Stop spending money. Hit him in the wallet. That'll make him change something. Don't make death threats. Show that you don't want to spend money on that by not spending money. That's exactly what you got to do. Keep doing things like that, or I guess not doing things like that, But make videos about it. Just keep it civil. Keep it civil, and we'll make a difference. I'm certain of it. I mean, shit, look at fucking Battlefront 2. Look at games like that. It got so much press that they literally, they had a huge comeback. They had a huge fucking comeback. At the end of its life cycle. Just make your voices heard, and I can't stress that enough. Just keep it civil. But to end this rally review, we're gonna give the game a what's it gonna be? Boom! 7.5 out of 10. The game is fucking fun. The game is good, and there's a lot of promise here. They've worked so hard to make such a great foundation for which could be the fucking greatest game of all time. Definitely the greatest Halo of all time it could be. they showed that they can do it, and they listen to the community. I just think that the lack of content is holding it back, and the aggressive microtransactions are holding it back. I almost forgot to mention also no Forge and no co-op for a while. That's another big bummer, because the bread and butter of Halo Infinite's longevity has to do with Forge. But for this Halo Infinite multiplayer review, it's there. It is there. Lightning in a bottle. They have captured it. It just is going to take some time now. Hello, gamers. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you guys are having a really, really great holiday this time around. I know I am. It's been great. This is the best holiday I've had in a long time. You know, we're fucking killing it right now. We're working, we're making videos, we're killing it. I hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday with their family, get some nice gifts for Christmas, and more importantly, I hope that everybody is busy playing Halo at their crib.
Yeah. Screaming get stuck. Yeah. Right. That's right. Sing.